Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody?
Great.
Excellent, excellent. You are all in for a very special treat this morning. We have an amazing panel to my left. We have Nicole Mazzola, Robert Sizer, and Sharon Seymour. These are luxury real estate agent specialists, and they are going to be sharing their tips, their secrets on how they do what they do and sell the $1 million homes. So I hope you're ready. It's a very, very exciting presentation. Let me go over the outline for today because there's actually 5 different parts to this training. Number 1, you have a handout that says 10 tips to breaking into the luxury market. I'm going to read those 10 tips in just a moment. The second part will be an interview. Nicole Mazzola will be hosting and speaking again with Robert Sizer and Sharon Seymour, both luxury specialists. The third part of today's training is a handout that's on the back side of the first handout that is 10 tips to begin your journey of generosity. The 5th part is an interview with Dolores Diaz and David Malmy, who work at Eye of a Needle Foundation, and we're going to be discussing a generous giving program. So are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So we are in the middle of a teaching series this year. The title is The Method to Your Long-Term Success. The subtitle being How to Grow Your Business Exponentially. Today's topic, again, is breaking into the luxury market. And we have an additional presentation that we are calling The Journey of Generosity. Basically, we plan to teach you how to make a bunch of money and then how to give it all away. So before we start discussing $1 million homes, I'm reminded of a story I wanted to share with you this morning. And it's about a man who was talking to God. And he said, God, from your perspective, how long's 1,000,000 years? And God said, well, from my perspective, 1,000,000 years, just 1 second. He said, wow. Well, God, from your perspective, how much is $1 million? And God said, from my perspective, just 1 penny. Wow. The man thought for a minute. And he said, God, can I borrow a penny? And God said, sure, just 1 second.
All right. Woo. Good job, Andrew.
All right, let's get started with this brief training on the top 10 tips to break into the luxury real estate market. So pick up your worksheets and get your pens ready. Number 1, find a mentor and model their behavior. I'm going to repeat that. Find a mentor and model their behavior. Can't stress this one enough. Many agents come to me and ask, how do I break in? How do I break in? Without a mentor, it's almost impossible. So find someone you trust that's willing to impart the wisdom, like these 3 right here, and model their behavior. Number 2, believe that you can do it. I'm too busy. If you don't believe it, it's not going to come to pass. You have to believe in your heart that you can do it. So believe that you can do it. Number 3, learn to speak the luxury language. It is its own separate language. Many people that own luxury homes are very well educated, some of them very affluent, and their word choices may be different. That's something I had to learn. Number 4, don't be intimidated or feel less than. You know, many people shy away from selling the big homes because it's a little scary, but it doesn't need to be. We hope to take away some of that fear this morning. Number 5, know the high-end market and the neighborhoods. So this is no different than you selling homes for $200,000, $500,000, $700,000. If you're going to be a successful salesperson, you need to know the neighborhoods. You need to know the market. So if you want to sell luxury homes, you have to go know what's going on in the luxury home neighborhoods. Number 6, understand the loan options and the tax implications. Jumbo loans are different from regular conventional loans. The tax implications, especially with the new changes from the Trump administration, they changed the game for high-end purchasing. So understand the loan options and the tax implications. Number 7, learn how to advertise to affluent clients. We've handed you this magazine, the Luxury Real Estate Guide, as an example of how to advertise luxury homes. It's different. You do need to stage the home. You do need to take professional photos. You do need to have a writer write the professional remarks. And there's not really any room for error. Neither the clients nor the people looking at the homes are going to give you much patience when it comes to poor advertising on a luxury home. Number 8, protect your reputation. It is everything. The luxury market, the high-end world, is a very small world. And people talk. So I highly suggest what you say, how you say it, and what you do reflects the best morals, ethics, and values. Number 9, get to know interior designers and builders and architects that service high-end clients. Some of you may already get referrals from your accountant or from another professional in our industry. On the high end, when they're building homes or remodeling homes, 99% of the time they have professional interior designers, builders, and architects involved. So if you can network with those 3 service professions, you will get referrals to high-end clients. So again, get to know interior designers, builders, and architects that service high-end clients. And number 10, never be afraid of the luxury market. Again, never be afraid of the luxury market. It's just a home. They're just people. They need help, and we can help them. So, without further ado, now let's hear from our experts. I am going to turn it over to Nicole Mazzola.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be with all of you this morning, and I'm very honored to be on stage here with Robert and Sharon, 2 agents who I look up to tremendously. I'm really glad to be asking them the questions. I'm hoping some of their amazing talent rubs off on me by osmosis. So you're in for a treat this morning.
Hand her the microphone.
Is that better?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, without further ado, I would love to have Robert and Sharon introduce yourselves. They've sold almost 600 homes just between the 2 of them. So, on that note, take it away.
Thank you, Nicole. I'd like to say good morning to everybody, and thank you so much for showing up today and sparing us some of your time. We hope to impart some wisdom this morning. Not that we're uber specialists in any way. A lot of you I recognize do a lot of high-end business. Kathy, I'm looking at you. And we're just here to share a little bit about our experience, and hopefully you'll be able to take something away that will impact yours. As Nicole said, I'm Robert Sizer. I've been in the real estate industry for 24 years. My grandparents were realtors. My great uncle, my great aunt were realtors. And this is a 3rd career for me. I got in when I was 34 years old. And basically the reason I got into real estate, like I think a lot of you, is that you may have hit a glass ceiling where you were, and you couldn't get beyond it. I was in retail management at the time. Anybody do retail before? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So I was in retail management, and no matter what I did or what retailer I worked for, I could not exceed a certain volume, annual income. So I walked in and one day and just said, you know what? Talked to my grandma. She said, why don't you try real estate? And there it was. So 24 years later, here I am on stage, and still as happy as can be that I chose real estate as a profession, and happy to share it with you.
I just learned something. I didn't know that you were from a real estate family. That's awesome. My history is a little bit different. My family has always been in construction, and so I started working with my dad when I was 12 years old in his construction office. So learning to read plans and build and just work beside him was a great experience for me. And we worked with a lot of different realtors, and I learned very quickly that there's a lot of bad ones out there. And I just couldn't, I just had to do it myself. I just wanted to become part of that network with my dad and his business. And so I actually started 18 years ago with RE/MAX Associates with my mom and my sister as a team. My mom and sister started a year before me and worked for Kevin Underdahl, if you remember him, as buyer's agents for him, which is actually where my mom and sister met Andrew. And so that was when he had long hair and ponytail.
Yeah. It's just till last week. I just got it.
Yeah. And my mom, told me how cute he was. And my mom was, I think they called her the Jackie Kennedy, or no, it was, anyway, just, what was it?
Onassis? No? Roseanne?
No, anyway,
Roseanne Barr?
I remember which president's wife it is, because she always had the suits on. She always wore these really cute suits and her hair, and she looked really cute. She liked being at the front walk-ins back then. Anyway, so they did that for about 6-8 months, and then they said, we need you, come on, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so January of 2000, we joined and made our own team and interviewed different offices and ended up with RE/MAX. And we stayed there 13 years until my mom and sister actually retired from the real estate business. And that was because of all the short sales and all the market just totally changed at that point in time, and they weren't really interested in working that type of business. And so anyway, I was on my own, and I found Andrew and moved over here almost 6 years ago, which was, I can't believe it's been that long, it'll be 6 years in November. And so it was the best decision I ever made. I think it was a game changer for me to be able to be here today, to be able to excel in this market because of the training and education that we've received here.
Fantastic, thank you guys. And Robert with 22 sales over 1 million and Sharon with 19 sales over 1 million. Can you talk a little bit about what your motivation is to sell luxury property? Sharon, do you want to start?
Motivation? My first $1 million sale was actually only 8 months after we started in real estate, so it was in August of 2000. I think it starts actually before you ever get that first listing or that first call or that first appointment. It starts with how you want your business to be, with the image that you want to portray, the reputation that you want to have. So we set some goals in the very beginning, and we did a lot of marketing. I had just graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in business and minored in marketing. So I had just finished that the year before going into real estate, and so they put me in charge of that, and my sister. We all had our own areas, and so I started doing a lot of advertising in Homes and Land magazine. We did the covers. We did Union Tribune ads. We did quite a bit of advertising to build up our business. We actually sold 30 properties our first year, and the first $1 million one in August. And so I think setting those goals and making that part of my vision for our real estate career, because we knew it was a lifetime career, at least I knew it was a lifetime career for me, because it's something I'm really passionate about and I absolutely love it. There's nothing I'd rather be doing. And I think the motivation is not about money. It's about finding, actually I prefer to work all price points. I don't just focus on luxury pricing homes, because as the market turns, I've been through 3 recessions in my life and ups and downs and just going with the flow. But I think if you have a good, well-rounded business where you can hit different price points, that you're going to go with the flow a lot better than if you just target high end.
Yeah, I think to touch on what Sharon said, a lot of times when you begin your career, you do it systematically, and you target either a demographic or a geographic farm. Okay, that's the smartest thing we all started doing, hopefully. And so I started geographically farming, and from there, it was 6 years before I had my first sale, over $1 million. And it just was, I think we all look also for different business opportunities or different avenues in which we attract business, right? So a lot of us, most of us, we get our business by referral if we're good. And then there are other business avenues. Well, I was doing relocation clients for Macmillan Realty back in the day. And one of my relo clients I put into a property turned out to be one of the best clients I've ever had in my life. And every 2 years he would move, and his first move up was in the $1 million market. So my first sale was in Del Mar for $1 million in the year 2000, and it was quite exhilarating. It was a whole different style of property to take in, but I was very fortunate because I grew up in Del Mar, and I was the first class at Torrey Pines High School. So so I have some credibility. So that helped too.
Thank you both. And moving to the next point, can you point out any one thing that you can attribute to your success on the high end?
I think certainly the confidence level and believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself and what you're capable of, nobody else is going to believe in you either. So you have to start, and how do you become confident and believing in yourself? It's practice, practice, practice. It's doing. It's training. It's being around people like these people on stage I'm surrounded by, being around the people that you want to emulate in your business model. So I would attribute my success mostly in the confidence area. Those of you that know me, I know that I exude some confidence. But more than that, I think I exude leadership, good communication skills, and I'm an influencer. People tend to lean in a little bit closer because they feel like they want a part of whatever I'm representing, whether it's real estate or perhaps just some advice. So I would just attribute that to excellent communication skills and confidence.
Interesting. So people lean into you? I think people lean away from me. I don't know.
You're powerful.
No. I think that the number one thing that helps you, if you anything you could possibly do, the one thing would be to self-preparation. I like to kind of think of this as running a race. If I ran quite a few half marathons and gone through the process of preparing for it, so I'll use that analogy. But if you were going to run a half marathon, you wouldn't show up on race day without preparing. You'd start out 2.5 months before that. You'd run a mile, and then you'd rest, and you'd run another mile, and you'd rest, and you'd increase your time and your endurance. And you know, by the time you hit 4 miles without stopping, you celebrate because you know that's the point where you can do it mentally. You've set yourself up. You've prepared for it. You show up. You're on your A game. You've got your your stamina. You've got your sleep. You've got your confidence because you've made those runs before. And you walk in there and you get ready and you take off, and it's like an exhilarating, wonderful experience. I liken that to my listing appointments and presentations. I work to get ready before I ever get there. And I'm not talking about just 2 days before getting your comps ready. I'm talking about 2 years before. I'm talking about the classes you take, the trainings you take, the meetings that you show up to, the help that you give other people, because it's always the teacher who learns more than the student. Be the one to share and to give the answers and to support people. And I think that self-preparation, the education, the experiences that you share, if you're in a slump, you team up with someone else who's going to help you have those experiences. That's probably the number one thing that I think that you could do right now in preparing for next year or next week, whatever you're going to be doing. But that is the thing that should be on your mind, the focus, I think.
Thank you, guys. Those are great responses. And I think a question we've all had, myself included, is how do I break in? What are the first steps? Where do I start? So, Robert, can you share, how does a new agent get started trying to break in? What advice would you give today?
That's a question that comes around frequently. I think a lot of people that come into the real estate market, they set their sights, they're watching all the TV shows, right? All the $1 million listings and how that's going, and they actually see themselves in that role. But in actuality, like I said, it was 6 years before I wrote my first $1 million offer. So in breaking in, one of the things, you have to know your demographic, you've got to know your market, you have, as Sharon was pointing out, it's training. It's getting prepared to succeed. And that preparation to succeed, it starts with a vision. If you want to be successful in real estate, start there. Think about that. And then do the preparation required to get there. For instance, if you're targeting a demographic, say you want a high-end demographic, well, then you better be hanging out where they're hanging out. You better get in front of those people and have conversations with those people. And as Andrew pointed out, it's a whole different vernacular sometimes. We're talking to people that are PhDs and have masters in business and a lot of world experience. So it's hard to go in there with very small mind and think you're going to win them over. So you have to be well-read, educated, at least on real estate and the markets, right? So I would say, and this was pointing out in the top 10, is get where you want to work. For instance, identify a market you want to be in. Go there, hang out there, shop there, go have coffee there, talk to people there, wear your name tag, get to know these people, and they will warm up to you over time. And let them know you're in the real estate business. I'm a real estate professional. I help people with the largest investment of their lives, and let them know what you do for a living.
And Sharon, I'd love if you could add on to that. How important are your team of vendors and the preparation that you're doing on the back end to service these high-end clients?
Well, that's really a point of mine today, because I got a call last night at 6 p.m. when I was out to dinner with my family saying that my $1 million listing client had a water main break at their house, and they already had 4 trucks loaded of all their furniture, plus a trailer, plus an RV, and they were leaving. So, can you fix this for me? So yeah, having your vendors ready and people to support you is absolutely critical to your success. If I had said, oh, I have no idea how to get a plumber over there and take care of this, he would have thought, what? I'm like, don't worry, you guys take off, I'll have this taken care of. And so having your vendors on speed dial, whether it's window washers, organizers, stagers, cleaners, plumbers, electricians, I have a whole list and an A team and a B team, and if I call my window washer and I say, I really need this listing, these windows are so dirty, the photographer's coming, will you squeeze me in? They'll squeeze me in, because I always pay them really well, and I always pay them on time. And I think my dad taught me that in his construction business. If you want people to show up and work for you, don't string them out. Have your check there, pay them, treat them really well, respect them. And so having that team is absolutely probably the most important thing to your referrals. If you can obviously close the one listing you have, but if you didn't do a really well job, do it really well, then you probably will not get the referrals that we want, which we'll be talking about that in a minute.
I think another question many of us ask or wonder is, how do you go out and find these people? And I think you've talked about networking, so if you want to add on to that a little bit, Robert, how do you find a buyer or seller in that price range?
I think we all would agree to find buyers, it's best to have listings, right? And you'll find but here's the chicken egg question. Do you represent $1 million buyer first, a luxury buyer, or do you have a luxury listing first? And on my situation, it was a buyer that actually introduced me to the luxury market. It wasn't me introducing them. So they asked me to represent them on a large purchase. From there, when you start playing on that field, you're going to find you're going to be introduced to their friends, to their coworkers. And in fact, this same person was referring me to his coworkers. So my next luxury buyers came from this particular buyer as well. So I think whenever you have the opportunity, and Sharon will touch on this, capitalize on it. If you have a listing, let that become your farm. Don't keep it a secret. And a lot of you that know me or connected on Facebook, you know for a fact that I'm frequently reaching out to my sphere, to my friends, and I always end all my real estate posts the same way. Who can I help next?
I actually learned this from Robert, I don't know, a couple years ago about capitalizing on the listings that you do have, the buyers that you do have. We'll probably talk about that in a minute. The biggest mistake I ever made in real estate, which I'm probably going to say right now because that will ruin the question, but my biggest mistake, honestly, was not capitalizing on past clients and listings that I had. We'll touch on that in a minute, but I really didn't know what to do with them after they closed. It was part of the training I didn't have at the time, and when I came here, Andrew said, so where's your database? I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, well, I'm sure you've got at least 200 sales. I'm like, I do? I didn't even know because I'm not a numbers person. I didn't even look at my numbers until last night. So looking at the numbers was kind of eye-opening. I noticed how the numbers of luxury sales flowed with the market. So there was 1 or 2 a year in the beginning, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2008 hit to 2015. 0, like none. So I thought that was really interesting. And then 2015, I had 2, and then it started increasing again. But what the most interesting point was that in the last year, so July of last year, so less than a year, I've had 6 properties close over $1 million, and 4 of them were double-ended.
Wow.
So I brought this printout right here, which I didn't even know, so I highlighted these. These are the 6 that closed since July, and those are the ones that I double-ended. So that turned 6 into 10. And I think it was after the first one of those 6 that I realized that, oh, geez, that was a really nice listing. I have no leads from it. I didn't bring in the buyer. I didn't do anything, and I just had this great missed opportunity. So that was my aha, okay, Robert, what did I do wrong? Or Karen, my partner, and our office partner, we're like, what in the world happened? I had this golden egg, this opportunity to use it, and I gave it away. And so after that, I got another listing. So basically, from the next listing, I was able to turn that 1 into 5 deals. So the 1 listing turned into, but through the marketing, which I learned how to market Facebook targeted marketing for $1 million buyers. So marketing it through Facebook, open houses, and basically answering my phone always on the first ring, getting that buyer to call me and not someone else because I didn't answer the phone. I was able to find the buyer for that property, then list their house in Encinitas, sell their house, and then the house they bought, I was able to list their next door neighbor and then also their next door neighbor for the one in Encinitas. So through that 1, the network was 5. And the reason we're talking about where do you get that next $1 million buyer, right? It doesn't come from you waiting for the phone to ring. It comes from all the marketing that you did in place for that 1 deal. And instead of giving away the one I had last summer, I took this one and capitalized on it because I don't hang out with rich people like Robert does. I have 5 kids, 10 grandkids. My husband and I are super busy. My parents are in their 80s and live near me, and I mean, I've got like this huge network of church activities, and I really don't have any time. If I'm going to go out to dinner, I'm going to invite Tiffany and her kids, or it's really all about my family. And so I don't have a place to meet people like that. So I think in preparing, creating that business model that you envision yourself to have, and creating that reputation so that people will say, Sharon did a really good job, helping me with my house. You need to call her, and then getting those referrals from next door neighbors. I mean, what better business is that than to get referrals where there's no splits, there's no big fees to pay. I mean, this is you giving something to them that they need, and they're wanting it. They're calling and saying, in fact, the one in Encinitas, next door neighbor, he was a scientist and very, very brilliant, and moving to Seattle to work for a new company. And when he had me in, he said, I want you to do exactly what you did for the neighbor next door. And I just said, okay, I can do that, but maybe even better. How about that? And he was like, okay. And I did. I actually got him, I think, $40,000 over what he even wanted. So getting those clients is really up to you, and up to you. I mean that in how you do your business, and whether or not you're going to get those referrals from where you're at today.
And just to touch on that real quickly, when you do have, as Sharon's been blowing it up this year in that space, but when you do have an open house, and I hold all my luxury listings open because I want to meet all the neighbors. And so I collect their data, and I stay in touch with them. And in case of point, there's a little farm that I have in Leucadia that I have 9 sales in within 2 blocks. And I am a resource for the sellers. They call me, my phone rings. What's going on here? What's happening there? So I'm in front of them all the time. So I'm always trying to keep a sign in the neighborhood, and when my sign's not up, I'm keeping in touch with them on a regular basis. So.
Awesome, thank you. So I have a question for each of you, 2 different questions that I'll get into here. Robert, do you find there is more pressure involved in servicing the high end, and how do you handle that pressure and those expectations? And Sharon, I learned, is not a fan of fake it till you make it, so don't say that to her. Sharon, we'd love to hear from you after Robert the difference in servicing clients in different price ranges. So Robert, why don't you start?
Yeah, as you can imagine, the pressure's a little bit more intense when you're dealing with a high-end client. There's a lot of money on the line, and it's important to protect that. But at the same time, they're looking to you for professional advice. You become their professional advisor to tell them or to guard their investment, right? So in doing so, you become partners with your sellers. And I found out a long time ago, when I thought I wanted to date wealthy women, it costs a lot of money. I thought they were going to be picking up the tab. Crazy me. But well, you had an analogy. Come on. Can I have it? So, point being that when you play on this level, you're going to have a huge investment, and it's going to cost you a lot of resources, time, money, etc. So I think that you need to set expectation levels, but also prepare for the back door. What if plan A doesn't work? Make sure that you've already addressed that. So on the backside, you can say, here's where we talked about it, get them to initial it, and have that conversation. And just quickly, I was at an interview one time with a PhD, and he was in research and development for a pharmaceutical company. And he looked down at the net sheet, and he said, Robert, no offense. He said, but I'm a highly educated man. I'm very successful, and this is quite a sum of money that I'm about to pay you. Can you quantify that for me? Good question, right? So this was spontaneous and off the cuff. And I looked at him and I said, you're an R&D, you're a very, very smart man. I said, you're top of the field. Probably command a large salary as a result. I said, let me ask you a question. Where would R&D be without sales? I said, because I am really good at what I do. And that's the number you should be concerned with. And I pointed to his net, that in fact, anybody who runs an organization wants high-paid salespeople, correct? We want the highest, because that equals success, doesn't it, Roxanne? That's right, another champion right there. But highly paid salespeople are worth their salary, are worth their commission. So set the expectation, make sure you have a plan B, and get ready. Did you want to add it? No.
Yeah, I want to, and I'll just kind of refresh everyone's memory here. Sharon, if you can talk a little bit about the difference between servicing clients on the lower end. I know you said I don't target a specific price range. Does your mindset change? Do you have a shift when you're servicing different clients? And can you tell us why you hate fake it till you make it? Because it's real amusing.
My oldest daughter, who actually has a master's degree in public administration, she could do whatever she wanted. Well, she became a realtor this year in January, and she's such a smart, great girl. And I was last summer at her house, and she said, oh, my friend just got her real estate license, and she loves it, and she was coming to dinner, and Trina was just thinking at that point about maybe getting her license, and we were talking about it. So her girlfriend sits down, and she'd been in the business 6 months, and she's like, oh, I've done this and this and all these sales. And she says, I said, really? So do you have a mentor or a coach, or how did you get started? I'm really thinking in my head that maybe I could give her some tips or something, and I was going to talk about getting into a mentor program. And so she says, oh no, I just fake it till I make it. And I looked at her and I wanted to die. I was like, oh, this is just not right. This is not, this is not real estate. I take this profession seriously. And I want everybody else to take it serious too, because it is, in my opinion, such a valuable service. And so I had to kind of lecture a little bit in my mom mode, well, that may not always work. Somebody may challenge you. Somebody may ask you a question that you need to answer. So maybe you should think about getting a mentor. And so I went in and talked to her about that a little bit. So anyway, that's, every time I hear that now, I cringe. But honestly, to answer your question, I don't do anything different. I think it's really all back again to the preparation and and doing your best. But I think the one thing that you need to realize, and what I didn't realize until this year, because I've really worked hard to service these $10 million closings in the last, well, I actually have another one next week, but is that they expect a lot. They want all of me, and my kids and everybody are like, we haven't seen you, and I'm like, just hold on, it's almost summer. I always take July off to spend with the family in August, and so just hold on, the cycles of real estate, you know where it's at, it's up here right now, so we gotta work. So my kids understand that, but anyway, they expect everything as, like, if the phone rings, I answer it. If they need a water main pipe fixed at 8 a.m. the next morning, I make sure that the vendor's there and he fixes it. If they email me, they're going to get an email back very quickly. If they text you, they want immediate responses. And I think the biggest thing I can say probably is to not ever lie or ever make assumptions that you know something you don't know. I am so transparent, and I feel like that's probably, people have appreciated that. So if they ask me something that I don't know, because obviously I don't know a lot of things, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So if they ask me something and I'm like, that's a really good question, can I get back to you? I know a lender who's an expert in this field. I'm going to find out and I'll call you back. And when he called me yesterday about this water main break, and I'm in the middle of dinner, I was like, yes, I'll have it fixed, but I'm going to need to make a few calls first and figure it out, and then I'll call you right back. And I did. I called him back in 15 minutes. So I think the expectation on their end is a lot, and if you don't, if you're not able to respond like that, and you're not, then you need to either get an assistant or you need to figure something out. I don't know what else to suggest, but anyway, the expectations are there, and if I'm on vacation or something, I don't even like them to know I'm gone, because then they get mad. It's kind of a weird thing. Why would they get mad if I'm going on vacation? It's because you're not there to do everything for them. So I'm even working from vacation, so I'm not a good example about that.
Don't tell everyone that, Sharon. So moving on, and I want to keep a little bit of an eye on our time here. One of the questions I have for you, Robert, is, and we can kind of combine a few, can you walk us through one of your product launches, as you call them? I know I've been sitting in leadership meetings with both of you, hearing the things you do on the back end to prepare, and really feeling humbled and lazy, and realizing I'm not doing enough. And I didn't do all the things that you guys do, and it just makes you realize how important it is if there's a market shift, if you have a tough listing. And I tell my clients, I want to know that I did everything I could. Everything, we checked every box. And I think you both do a great job of that. So Robert, can you share about what you do?
Kind of like what Sharon was saying, I treat every client the same. Every client is $1 million client to me. I don't care what price point. My preparation is virtually the same then for every listing that goes live. I treat it like a product launch. And those of you that have ever launched anything, you understand what that entails. There's a lot of preparation involved, but you go in and basically you're going to put, and this is the way I like to put it, put my seller in the best possible selling position. So I'm going to position their property in such a way that the response is going to be ridiculous. And that's what I'm looking for on every listing launch, every product launch. So it starts, and we talk about things. We have some staging experts with us today, people that understand staging. The staging portion is so important, and here's why. That is the focal point of your marketing, for one. It's not necessarily people coming in and admiring the couch or the bouquet of flowers, which doesn't hurt. But it's really setting the stage for success. So you want, just like you're going to build a set, that's what you're going to build on your listing. You want it to represent your brand, right? So when you're going to go and hire the photographer to come in and shoot that shot, it is a staged shot entirely. And if your photographer doesn't work with you in the right way, for instance, I work with photographers that can see if there's a wire exposed or a light bulb is out. Not on mine because they're already done before they get there, but they still will point those things out, even aligning the faucet on the sink. Okay, these are little details that will reflect in your marketing. And let me tell you, we've all seen the MLS, right? You're looking at pictures that are atrocious. Okay, are you a professional marketer? Okay, are you doing a service or a disservice to your clients? So on the launch process, it starts at the initial consultation. Basically, I walk from curb to the back fence and everything in between, including the neighbors, and it starts the bullet points from there. And then we have a team that will go in and put everything together. And it can take a little bit of time, but people that are in a hurry, we can do that too. But the launch sequence is so important that when I release the property, I want there to be a pent-up demand for that listing. And typically, and I'll give you an example, on several of my last multi-million-dollar transactions, I've been able to attract up to 100 people at open house. And at that price point. And my last 2 listings have sold in 6 days. Multiple offers over list price in the $2+ million category as a result of preparation. So of course there's a lot to it, but preparation is key, and plan for success.
Thank you. I love that, plan for success. Skipping now to mentors. I know Andrew talked about that today on his top 10 list, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you have a mentor? Did you have a mentor? How important do you feel that has been to your success? Who'd like to start?
I actually did not have a mentor. I had no idea what I was doing. So when I look back now, I think that's the one thing I would change. And what I suggest to my daughter when she started real estate was to interview. Don't let them interview you. You go interview them, and you find out, and you find that best connection that you can make where you can learn the most. Take in 6 months, even if your splits are terrible or whatever, just get that knowledge, that training, and then 6 months later, then we'll talk and figure it out. But I think a mentor program that she got into is amazing. She's been on listing appointments. She was able to sell, I think, 6 things in her first 2 months. So, I mean, that was watching how she did it versus me. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I wish I had done that. But coming here to this company, and 6 years ago, I felt like that was where my true training began, because Andrew is such a visionary and so intelligent, and I feel like he can see right through me and just what I need. And I remember being at a meeting with him, so I would say Andrew's my advisor, my trusted advisor, and if I need anything, I just send him an email and he responds. But I remember being at a meeting with him back, maybe I was here 2 months or something, and he said something to me that I never forgot, and he said that here we do not have a scarcity mindset. Here we share, and if you share with other people, you'll be blessed. And my mind just opened up and my heart grew like the Grinch's. I just felt like, you know, I can do this, I can share, because in the past where I was before, it was all secrecy and let's not share, and I'm not telling you what my new listing is, and you know, it's like, that is not here. So having Andrew teach me is like, I feel like that, just that one thing has helped me to, my business to grow.
How many times have you been to a forum like this to learn how to break into the luxury market? Me, this many times. There was no classes that were offered, you know, for free. You know, I'm sure you could sign up for something online. But we, as Sharon mentioned, we have a different mindset, fortunately, and amongst ourselves, we have the greatest pool of talent that we could possibly tap into, and we frequently do. So to me, it's a pleasure and an honor when somebody comes to me and asks me a question and wants to know something that worked for me or something that I know that I might be able to help somebody else out with. Because remember, I think the definition of success really is proportionate to the amount of people that you can help along the way. And we're fortunate enough to be in a position to help a lot of people.
Thank you, guys. That's awesome. I do want to keep an eye on the time. I think we've got just a couple minutes left here, so I have wonderful additional questions. We're not going to be able to get to them all. But in conclusion here, we need to wrap up. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the audience that you feel is important today?
I think a lot of it was touched upon with Andrew at the beginning with the top 10 tips. The one thing, if I can impart anything, any one of my clients, anybody that I do business with, I give a very high priority. And I think that your reputation, for instance, will not only benefit you, will benefit your clients. So it does not behoove you to go in to any transaction ego-based and concerned with your own benefits. If you keep client-centric and client-focused, stay to the letter of the contract. Okay? Be communicative, answer your phone, return calls in a timely fashion, put a high priority on other people's time, you will succeed. people will want to do business with you. Referrals will want to do business with you. Other agents will want to do business with you. And in a multiple offer scenario, how many times have we been up against that, right? I love it when an agent says, I want to do business with Robert Sizer. And so do my clients.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Last parting words.
Yes, parting words.
I was trying to think of something for like an aha moment in real estate. And I think it was, I'm not sure which meeting, it was one of our meetings, because we get together and just everybody talks about successes, failures, whatever. And I remember one day just the light bulb kind of going on and thinking, just ask. Just ask. And so I say that to myself a lot, just ask. If you think that your cousin, your next door neighbor, your friend from church, or somebody, you know, childhood friend is going to call you and they're ready to buy or list a house, chances are, if you haven't asked, if you haven't presented yourself as being the real estate expert, they probably aren't going to. And I've had my feelings hurt many times. And I think back and think, oh my goodness, why didn't I just ask? And how many listings appointments have I been on where I did a really great presentation and I never asked them to sign? How many times have I been out and just said, didn't even ask them if they were ready to move forward to make that offer? I mean, if you just remember those words, just ask, you'll find so many places in your life where personally and professionally where that you need to do that. It's not, you just don't keep it in your mind and think and hope and dream this is going to happen.
Awesome. Well, we're 1 minute past, so I want to thank both of you today for your time. And I was reminded we had probably an hour-long conference call last night preparing for this. There's so much talent at this agency, and I know everyone on this stage, and Andrew to my right, I remember when I first started, I've told this story, and he took me from Pacific Beach all the way up to northern Carlsbad, and we're looking at all these oceanfront homes. I'm like, this is fun, but what's the point? And he said, someday you're going to sell these homes. And I just thought, yeah, okay, that'd be great. But he believed in me, and he took the time to train me and pour into me, and I saw all the things that he did to sell those kinds of properties, and it was scary, but it works, and we're all here to help you, to support you. Please ask us. We'd love to share. And believe in yourself. You can do it. And so thank you.
Good job. Well, thank you to our panel. I hope you all received That's right. The broadcast is over. No, just kidding. I hope all of you received pearls of wisdom, and we are now going to show 2 short videos as we transition into the second segment of today's presentation. And this part of the presentation is on generosity. Remember at the beginning, I told you we're going to teach you how to make a lot of money and hopefully stir your heart to then give some away, if not all of it away. So these are 2 successful closings from our generous giving program here at AARE that you're about to watch that have resulted in $16,000 in gifts to local charities. And then after the videos are over, you're going to meet the people behind the scenes that are in these videos. So let's roll the film.
Hey guys, we are here at Bill and Stephanie Ennis's home. They are our first closed referral for Go Mobile for Life. I get to present this check to Scott Sharpen with Go Mobile for Life in the amount of $2,450. Let's go. So we are here today with Scott and Carolyn Sharpen of Go Mobile for Life, and I have been a longtime supporter, love what they're doing in our community for local women and babies, and I am just really pleased and honored to be able to help them today. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for allowing me to help you with the sale of your home and the purchase.
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
Yes, our privilege.
Wow!
Oh, whoa! Okay, This is a check for $2,450. Woo! Yes! How exciting. And this gets to go straight into the ministry so that we can serve more women and babies. And here's another point that's super cool, is that Stephanie here is actually a volunteer with the ministry, and she helps write a lot of our, what we call mobile moments, our stories, so that we can express at a detailed level, really telling the story on a patient-by-patient basis. She's so integral in that process. And so this is kind of a full circle family thing working here. And it's just really cool. So Carolyn, do you want to say anything?
Oh, I just want to say thank you to everybody involved with this. This will help women and babies, and we could not be more happy or more blessed to receive this.
Thank you.
So I'm excited. I have the first generous giving AARE check, and I'm getting ready to present this to Colin from FCA, and we're going to be walking in the house here in a few minutes and surprise everybody. Follow me in. Well, we did it. We are finished. We finally made the sale, and I would like to present to you, Colin, a check from our generous giving program from the sale of this house to FCA.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Gary. This is awesome.
You're welcome.
It is like the Academy Awards.
It is.
But better.
Way better.
Wow, this is incredible. $13,312.50 for FCA. Thank you so much. These funds are going to really help advance our vision for our organization, and we're going to use the funds to send some kids to our summer camp. We're going to use some of the funds to get Bibles in the hands of the student athletes we work with and the coaches we work with, and just cannot thank AARE and the Generous Giving Program enough for your support from this gift. So thank you, and thanks Henry for using AARE, and what this is represents a celebration of a team working together, and to know that there's organizations like AARE that believe enough in giving generously, and how this will help. So thank you so much, Gary.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good work all around. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Team effort, and we finally did it. So
Yeah.
Very exciting day.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible day that I will not forget, and thanks for your contribution to FCA and what it means for us.
You're welcome.
It's awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks, Gary.
Colin. Thank you.
Thanks, Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Gary. You bet.
Thank you.
Boom.
As we move into the Journey of Generosity segment, I want to share a story about a man that was called by the California lottery. And when his wife picked up the phone, she was informed that her husband had just won $10 million. She was so excited to share the news, but her husband had recently had a heart attack a few weeks ago. And she was worried because he nearly died. And the doctor said, no exciting news for this man. He was excited easily, and she worried the news might give him another heart attack and he might just kick over. So she called her pastor at the church and explained the situation, and asked if the pastor could break the news with all of this experience of dealing with delicate situations. So the pastor said no problem, he'd be right over. And when he came to the house, he sat down with the husband and said, Bob, theoretically, if you were to receive a check for $10 million, what would you do? Bob replied, well, being a generous man and a good steward, I'd give half, $5 million, to the church. Immediately, the pastor had a heart attack and died. So back to your handouts. Turn over your first handout, and we're going to go over 10 tips to begin your journey of generosity. Number 1, start small and don't give up. Again, start small and don't give up. Many times we feel as though we don't have enough to give or to share with others. If I only made an extra XYZ, then I would give ABC. I'm going to share a story that's been part of my journey of generosity for many years. I started buying subway cards probably a decade ago, and I put $7 on them. Everyone can afford that. And I seek out homeless people, just like the kits that you all built out in the forum, to give to them. And I hand them the subway card. And that single act of generosity has led into so many fascinating situations. So it doesn't cost a lot of money. Start small, don't give up. Number 2, never let a day go by without being generous. So never let a day go by without being generous. Generosity is a lifestyle. It's something just like exercising you need to practice each day. Because if you don't, slowly but surely, the selfishness creeps back in. Number 3, seek opportunities to give by asking others about their needs. Seek opportunities to give by asking others about their needs. Frequently, it's scary to ask people what they need because you might be afraid what they're going to say, which is going to put you in a position where you have to actually respond and do something. But I'm going to encourage you, just like Sharon said, just ask. Number 4, discover the joy of generosity. I have a very good friend, Brad Formsma, who wrote a book called I Like Giving. If you don't have that book, I highly suggest buying a copy. And Brad has discovered the joy of generosity. God loves a cheerful giver, not a stingy giver, but one that has joy when they give without any expectation of return. Number 5, listen for the voice inside you that prompts an act of generosity. Listen for the voice inside you that prompts an act of generosity. We all hear that still voice. Sometimes it is scary, and you're not quite sure about someone you may see on the street or someone that you see in need. But I encourage you to follow that prompt and be generous and caring. Number 6, focus on the frequency of your giving. Focus on the frequency of your giving. It's not about one big, large gift once a year on December 31st, right? For tax purposes. The frequency of your giving. Number 7, give more than you can afford. This one took me years to build into my journey of generosity. It was easy if I had $1,000 in my bank account to give away $500 because I already had the money. But to commit to giving $10,000 away within a year when I only had $1,000 in my bank account, that's scary. Because then I have to depend and trust that God's going to bless me with the other $9,000 to be able to give away. But He's faithful, and it works. Number 8, find the right people to take on your journey. Going on the journey of generosity alone is self-defeating. There's others who want to be generous or who already are generous, and taking those people on your journey and openly sharing your experiences is very advisable. Number 9, find a safe environment to openly discuss your giving experiences and adventures. Again, find a safe environment to openly discuss your giving experiences and adventures. There are conferences like Generous Giving. Your church probably has small groups that discuss generosity. You have friends you know that are generous. Those are safe environments. Discussing generosity with individuals that are not generous, or possibly within even your own family, many times can be very uncomfortable. And so I encourage you to find that safe environment. Number 10, be prepared to receive the blessings. Again, be prepared to receive the blessings. The law of sowing and reaping is a biblical principle. I'm a living testimony. It is true. It works. And you have to be prepared to receive the blessings. And in turn, give those back away. Okay, so we are going to get started with our next segment. And Gary Giffen, who's a very generous person in his own right, is going to be hosting. He's going to be interviewing Angela Tips and Kelly McLaughlin, also very generous agents. And then after that interview, he's going to be asking Dolores Diaz and David Malmy, who work with Eye of the Needle Foundation, about our generous giving program. So, Gary, take it away.
Great. Hopefully I'm on. Can you hear me okay? Everybody hear me? I talk pretty loud anyway. You know, this was set up where basically we've seen the luxury real estate market, and we know that we can make a lot of money. And now we're kind of set up to, well, now we've got money, let's give some away, right? Let's bless other people. And it isn't always about, I just did a little presentation for our leadership group, and it isn't always about money. You can also give away your time. There's a lot of things that you can give away beside money. So if you don't have a lot of money in your pocket, or you don't have a subway card, you will probably leave this parking lot today and see a homeless person or somebody on the corner that hopefully, how many people here got to make a packet today? You got the pleasure to put one under your desk or your seat? That's great. We started doing that tradition about 4 or 5 years ago, Andrew, and we're starting that up again. So you'll always have something underneath your car seat, hopefully, and you see somebody and you see that opportunity. Take the time to pull over and hand that to that person and get to know that person. Ask them what their name is. That's something I learned from Andrew, is not to just, jet on by where they can just smell the fumes of your car and throw the packet. Don't do that. Stop. You say hi to the person and say, hey, my name is Gary, what's your name? And I know you only have like 10 seconds to get through that light, but make it purposeful. My mentor for generous giving is sitting next to me, and that's Andrew. I've always tried to just figure out how he does it, because he will give away 90% of his income if he could. I know we're working our way up. We've got Eye of the Needle. If you look behind me here, you'll see Eye of the Needle Foundation, which Dolores is a part of, Mission Finder, who David is a part of on a daily basis. If you see our website, you can actually go to our website and find out more about those particular funds that we have going. So with that, we have 2 of our most generous agents that happen to be up on stage today. Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Kelly, for coming today. I've got a few questions for you. Angela, I'll start with you. So on the topic of generous giving, because that's what we're talking about today, what led you to becoming generous? How did it all start?
Can you all hear me? Good morning. So it really started, I'll be really transparent. My life was a hot mess about 15 years ago. My mom had just been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Found out my husband was a drug addict, so he was in a rehab. We had to shut down our business because of it, and it was one of those hands up moment, just hands up, completely surrendered to God, and it was a sweet surrender. It was just like a relief that none of this is in my control, and that's okay, and I just had to hand it all over. And that was kind of the starting point. And as that progressed, and I was sitting in church, and I just realized that I was compartmentalizing, and I hadn't trusted my finances with God. And so, and one of the pastors mentioned, there's tithers and there's tippers. And I'm all, I don't want to be a tipper. So I just had made a commitment at that point to tithe, and even though I couldn't afford it, and it was a complete act of faith. And so just tithe the 10%, I'm going to say religiously, but it was not that easy. It was kind of up and down for probably the first couple of years. And it was just an act of faith. And he was so faithful, though, to always provide always in unexpected ways, and it didn't matter. So I just kind of made that commitment a long time ago, and that kind of became the norm. And God really just, through the years, blessed me. It wasn't immediate, but, really started to pour out blessings in just so many ways. And then I would say the next step of faith in the generosity was when AARE and Andrew were God brought me to them, I'm going to say. I don't think it was random. So, and then that kind of catapulted me into the next phase, and hopefully that's still just baby step 2. So.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Angela. So first steps maybe for a lot of people that are just sitting here. How did you find the right person or organization to give money to? Maybe give somebody tips on how they can get started, right?
Sure. It's really important to choose who you're going to give to very, very carefully. There's a lot of great organizations, but our resources are limited. So me and my husband, we choose to give larger to fewer places, so we can make a larger impact. You can have a different train of thought, but we really had to sit down, and step 1 is say, what's the most important thing? There's a lot of great organizations, but what is the most important thing? A lot of people choose to give to an organization maybe that they've personally been affected by. Let's just say, military, or a disease that's affected your family or something like that. But for me and my husband, we just said that no matter what it does, it has to share the gospel. So it could be both and, but that was a core priority for us. So we give to our church, and as Andrew mentioned, Go Mobile is one of our huge, we support them immensely, and we just love what they're doing. They're fighting for the most innocent of lives and sharing the gospel and hope with these women and these families. So.
Outstanding.
And then really quickly, just do your due diligence. Pretend you're a buyer, do your due diligence, get to know the people who are running the organizations, kind of get to know their heart, make sure they're trustworthy, and going to make sound decisions with the finances.
Okay. So here's a question I'm sure everybody will be intrigued. When you're not earning a lot of income, or say you don't have like 5 or 6 escrows ready to close, or maybe just have 1 for the year, whatever it is, sales are slow, do you still give? Do you still tithe? Do you still do what you talked about doing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We do ours on a percentage basis, so no matter what income it is, whether it's the salary of my husband or my commissions, it's a percentage basis off the gross immediately that we just put aside in some go straight to our church, and then others we put in a savings account and kind of wait for God to lead us on like where he wants those funds to go, and kind of go that way.
Great. Well, I can tell you that when we get our paychecks and when we're paid, Andrew is nice enough to give us a breakdown. If you're confused about how to maybe tithe your money or how to save your money, he'll actually break it down for you and tell you how to do it. You don't have to do it that way, but it's already broken down in your paycheck, so you can see, oh, I should give this amount, I should save this amount of money. So it's kind of a no-brainer. If you're a little confused and you don't have a financial planner, then it's all broken down for you. So let's talk a little bit of your impact of your generosity. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about giving your time and talents. I think time is an important aspect of giving. A lot of people kind of forget that if you don't have money, you can just give your time. So tell me a little bit. I worked with you with Life Rolls On last year, which was a lot of fun. Tell me a little bit about some of those.
Sure. Being a realtor, you know how our lives are crazy and our schedules are jam-packed. So I had always felt guilty for not being able to give enough time. I had a lot of friends who were stay-at-home moms, and they would, be serving in all these different capacities, and I was always, I have to work. And I would always feel really guilty. And I think when I read the Giving It All Away to Get It All Back Again, it was just like a really aha moment in realizing that the efforts I'm putting in can significantly still help and give and benefit others by the finances. So for me, it's easier to do that. And then for the time, it's really been hard lately to do like a weekly, thing. So I try and pick certain items, like random, if they're having an event, okay, I'm just going to schedule that in. And then also for me, mission trips. Like I haven't been on a mission trip in a long time.
Talk to David Molney, he can help you.
Yeah, well, I'm going in August because I can just block out the whole time. It's really hard in our daily schedules, but boom, phone's going to be with the assistant and Yvonne, just so you know. And and I'm just going to leave and just kind of get outside of myself and outside of our ridiculous third world problems.
You
or first world problems, sorry.
So you pointed to Yvonne, is she covering for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the nice things about working for this company is we always have backup. We have agents that can kind of step in when you're on vacation and can show homes or whatever you need to do. So that's kind of a nice little perk that we have. There's some great agents here. So I'll talk about like reflections and giving, moving forward. Can you share any obstacles that you overcame, or any, like, Sharon, aha moments that you can talk about?
Yeah, I think the aha is that one of my biggest is that it is a sacrifice. So we know that the blessings that come in return are immense and great, and everybody loves to share that. And it's absolutely true. But it's also a sacrifice. And I would say if it doesn't hurt, then maybe you're not giving enough. And so it feels good because you can say, it doesn't matter. I don't need any more. We know we have more than we ever could have, than we deserve or imagine. So if you're not hurt by it, you don't feel the pinch, then maybe it's not a big enough sacrifice. And then I think it's not about me. It took a long time to figure out it's not about me at all. And if you take that out and just make it about others and getting outside of yourself, because we're so consumed, the world is so consuming and real estate is so consuming, and we're just taught to be me, I. And when you put the focus back on others and just step outside of yourself, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny how business will come to you as you give it away. It kind of comes back like tenfold. Very good, thank you, Angela. Will you pass that down to lovely Kelly? And Kelly, I'm not going to give you a ton of questions because I want to make sure that we get to David and Dolores, but I do have a couple for you. What would you say is the one thing you do to find where you challenge yourself to give more? And I know you give a lot. You give a lot of your time. You just came back from a little missions trip, right? Just like hours ago. Yeah. And, boom, straight into business and on stage. So take it away, Kelly.
So in regards to the one thing, we talk about your time, your talent, and your treasure. So you could pick one thing from each of those opportunities. Your time is huge. We all have the same amount of time, but I would have you reflect, and what are you doing with that time? Are you on Facebook? Are you watching Netflix? Are you spending time with others, to help others, to benefit others? I mean, even the fact that we have these lovely care packages today, I would challenge each one of you to get one of these or two of these and put them in your car. And that could be your start, and that could be your journey. Hi, I'm Kelly. I wanted to give this to you. My note says, Jesus loves you. And just go on your day, and that could be your time. Your talent, you have been blessed. All of you sitting in here have so many God-given talents, and you have been blessed with talents that you're not even using. So let's use those talents. We're all not good at things. My handwriting is atrocious.
It is, it's bad. I've seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, so, but we all have special gifts. We all have things to offer, and we're all different. It's a recipe. I mean, I can't make a cake without all the ingredients, and each one of you have certain ingredients that you can share with others. There are so many opportunities, and I would just say look for them. And when you become aware of them and they become habitual, then it's like brushing your teeth. You just do it. You just get out there. So you've got your time, you've got your talents, and we're talking about treasures. That's your money. You may or may not have money, but start somewhere. Start with something. Angela made a great point. Find out what you're passionate about. Find out what really makes your heart sing. Is it puppies? Is it children with cancer? Is it homeless people? we're all not going to have the same passions. We're all not going to be driven towards the same thing. And that's the beauty of this group, just the people sitting in here. We all have different ideas, and if we all shared a little, if we all gave of our time and our talents, I am telling you, brothers and sisters, Carlsbad, North County, San Diego, California, the world would be a different place.
Very good. Thank you, Kelly. All right. I think you're done. I don't even. You might want to just drop the mic and pass it. No, I have one more. So what are your giving goals at this stage of your career? Do you have like certain goals that you're trying to achieve here in the next months or years?
So this is kind of a secret. And when I say secret, people listen, right? Because secret is a sexy word. It's a marketing word. It brings you in. But the secret, my friends, is I have not publicly shared this. But today I'm going to. I've shared with a few close friends. I'm coached by Joe Stump, and he talks about BHAGs. I shared this with my boy, and he's like, "You're not going to say that on stage, Mom, are you?" But it's BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. So what is your BHAG? My boy goes, "Hairy? Like you're going to say that in public." I'm like, "It's okay. You guys can all get it." My BHAG is to earn $1 million in 1 year through the grace of God, but give half of it away. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I am telling you that it's going to happen. And when it happens, I'm inviting you all to the party because that's going to be a celebration.
Nice.
So that's my BHAG.
Believe it.
And lastly, I wrote down an affirmation, and I think affirmations are key. I love the thought that I create charitable abundance. You never know how small an act of kindness can draw someone close to you or close to God. Just ask yourself, what can I do? If not me, then who? If not now, then when? Now is your time. You have a giving heart. It's inside of each and every one of us, not just the people sitting here on this stage. Everyone is created for greatness. It's not in some of us, it's in all of us. Do it now, not later, not when you have money, not when you have more time, not when this or that happens. So please, I'm asking you guys, just do it. Just do something small and see what happens. See where your generosity leads. And most importantly, God is waiting for you to move. God is waiting for you to say yes, and God is waiting for you to give. It is an extraordinary life that you will live when you just say yes. Open your heart, open your wallet, reach out to other people. It's a great ride. Thank you.
Nice, thanks, Kelly. So Dolores, I'm actually just going to ask you the same question, you and David. We have a new program called the Generous Giving Program, and really just want to give an update. I know a lot of people didn't get to see the video to see how we're passing out these checks, but just give us an update. You're the eye of the needle portion of the program, right? So give us an update on how things are going.
Well, for those of you that, how many here are not from AARE? Well, welcome.
Yes.
Well, I come from the affordable housing industry, have been in it for a bit, 40 years plus. And I've always known that there is a nexus between the needs of people. And I happen to work on the poor side of the tracks. They're not buying this. They're not. This group is not this. But I've always known that there is a nexus between that work that I do and the work that you do, that we all do. And the Generous Giving Program, Andrew was the visionary for that. He's paved a way to formalize a nexus so that this group can help and bless this other group. And it's just a vehicle. The Eye of a Needle Foundation is the foundational charitable arm of AARE. And what the program is pretty much partnerships with nonprofit organizations in San Diego, outside of San Diego. Some are global, and they're organizations that we formally sign an agreement with. And with every referral that we receive, and we do the marketing for the program, And just like, and I've learned a lot about real estate hanging out with, with these folks. And I will tell you, those of you that are not from AARE, you need to know this company is different. That's why I'm involved in it, because it is so different. It is special. It has the it factor. And he's not paying me to say this. I am saying it. I was not scripted for this. But the Generous Giving Program is partnerships with nonprofits that I understand that as realtors you farm areas. Well, what we do is we open the door for you to begin to farm relationships with charitable organizations. And we open the door for you through a formal agreement, and the referral fee, the AARE, that would typically go to AARE, we forego that, and I say we, although I'm not AARE, but we forego that, and it goes right back to the charitable organization. It's an awesome, awesome model. It's new. We're breaking ground. What's happening is that nexus, that formalizing nexus between this that you're here today and those that do not have. So we're talking about generosity today, and it's just like what goes up must come down. There is a law of reciprocity that if we give, we get back. It's just God's law. And I've heard, I cannot add to anything that these folks have said, but if you're here today, I challenge you to try it. The Generous Giving Program, I fully, by faith and with the work and help of God, we plan to blow this thing up because there is so much need out there, so much. And if somebody doesn't fund it, who will? If we don't fund it, who will? And so, yes, we want this business. This is just the vehicle to be able to give more. And it's been tremendous. I have a regular day job. I do this kind of on the side, just like some of you that are here do real estate on the side. I do this, but I get my true joy from this. And I get challenged every day to maybe add another zero to that $25 gift that I'm giving to an organization. Lord, well, maybe I need to push to add another zero. So I challenge you to do the same. It's been a real privilege the last few months working with such an amazing, amazing group of people and that are generous. I know these people on the stage, and not only are they colleagues, brothers and sisters, they're my friends. So with that, I'll pass it on to David Malmy. And if you want to know more about the Generous Giving Program, see me. That was the cue.
And Dolores, thank you for taking the day off to be here too. That we appreciate it. We know you come from a long distance to get here, so thank you. David, you want to give us a little update on Mission Finder and also the Generous Giving Program?
Yeah, I can do both of those things, but I think I should have spoken before Dolores because Dolores really explained it so well. Andrew, when you were talking or going through that list and you talked about a journey of generosity, the thought occurred to me, I'm on that journey with you, okay, and I've been privileged to be a part of that. And just so you know, I have a connection with Andrew, and this is how I came to be a part of this. Andrew's lovely wife, Megan, and my daughter were best friends since junior high and continue to be so. In fact, my daughter is right now in Amsterdam after a 16-hour plane flight back from Africa, where she served with a ministry called Loving One by One, which Andrew has been a supporter of that, and actually took a trip with Stephanie and Megan a number of years ago. But my daughter has been privileged to be a part of that for the past 7 summers. I think she's gone over there, and prior to that she was in Egypt for a couple of years. So our family has always been involved in missions. And so after my business career, I was in the publishing world, And I happened to run into Andrew. Andrew had just acquired a website called Mission Finder.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and he said, you know, David, I could really use some help. So I started helping him. And what started out as a part-time gig, you know, ended up, you know, we have now 3 missions sites that I manage, and all of them are geared toward helping people discover, you know, what God is calling them to do, be it, you know, personal trips or perhaps to support financially. So, and then, so it's been my privilege to be a part of that, and obviously, as working with Dolores on Eye of a Needle Foundation, you know, we're privileged to have the support of AARE. And let me also add this thing. I am not in the real estate world. I've never been an agent. I have purchased property and sold property. My first experience with real estate when I was 21 years old, and I bought a condo up in Mammoth Lakes. And I convinced my dad to help me with it. In the first winter, the pipes froze, and that was, I thought, okay, I don't want to be involved in this. But the thing that strikes me, you know, so much about AARE is just this spirit of generosity, and it is so unique. And Andrew is the person that leads this and directs it. And so what Dolores and I do now is just share what they do with other charities and explain that, you know, AARE has benefited us through, you know, us at Mission Finder and Eye of the Needle, and here's how it can benefit your charity. So it's just a special relationship that AARE has with charities, and I'm just very pleased to be a part of it.
Outstanding. Well, thank you. Thank everybody up here. I'm going to ask if Jason, if you're back there, I can't see with the lights, if you're back there, come on up. Terry, I think I see you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Terry, come on up.
And we're going to wrap the live presentation. Thank you all for joining us around the county, and we will see you next time.